Alright, so my name is Brent Payne. I'm the SEO director at Tribune Company, handling websites such as Chicago Tribune, LA Times, Baltimore Sun, and a myriad of other broadcast sites, TV sites such as KTLA, WGN, etc. A few tips that you can use in order to get your website into Google News specifically is that, first of all, you'll need to submit your website to Google News. It's an inclusion-only search engine, so you have to include your site with them. There's a Google News submission form that you can find by just Googling the term Google News submission form. Fill that out. Before you fill it out, I would make sure that you've spent some time, maybe for the previous 2 weeks, having very fresh content on your website. And try not to report on the news, but actually report news yourself. News can be a myriad of different things. It doesn't have to be like the Iraq War or anything like that. It has to just be original, unique content. So as long as you're doing that and not talking about content, you'll be much better off. Once you submit your information in there, I would also make sure that you stay very fresh and updated for at least a couple of weeks afterwards as well, because there will be someone that manually reviews your website and will either include you or choose to reject you. If you have a web page that talks about what your resources are, how many writers you have, how large your organization is, make sure that you have that up and you have details talking about your organization there, because Google News is getting a lot pickier now on what they're including inside of Google News as a news source. So you'll want to show your greatest strengths. After you get that done, make sure you set up a news sitemap. It is a specific format for just Google that you'll need to make sure you set up. Be as specific as possible inside the news sitemap, specifically about your date. Make sure you have a full timestamp, not just the day, but the exact time. Make sure it's accurate, and then include as much information as you can. I think stock ticker symbols, for example, help. You want to put some key phrases in there. You'll want to have include the optional fields that Google News has in their news sitemaps. If you include all that information, it does help you to communicate with Google News better. It doesn't mean you'll necessarily rank higher, but they'll know your information a little bit better. If you make any type of site redesign or site changes at all, you'll need to communicate that back to Google News as well, because Google News is more of a script, I like to say, than a spider. They're looking just for the news content on the web page, where Google bot for the web, it just grabs all the content on the page. Googlebot News looks specifically for just the news content. That is also important for making sure you don't have huge blocks of HTML somewhere throughout your article. As soon as Google sees a big block of HTML in the body text of your article, they most likely will stop crawling the page at that point. And whatever news or whatever key phrases you have underneath that block of HTML, they probably won't grab. It was actually a problem at LA Times for us. So make sure you don't have big blocks of HTML inside your story content. You will want to use an H1 tag for your headlines, H2 tags for any type of subheadlines. Make sure you get your key phrases in both of those. Your SEO, the title, the HTML title tag that you have, if you can get your key phrase towards the front and maybe work it in twice into that title tag, that will be helpful. I like to differentiate between the HTML title tag and the H1. It tends to work a little bit better. And then lastly, for like press releases specifically, Google News will definitely suggest that you break those into a different folder. I feel that if you have a press release that is a little less corporate jargon and a little more blog post-like, you can probably get those through just fine in Google News if you put them in the same folder. But do know that Google News would recommend having them in a different folder. Those are like the big things. Oh, the image is another thing that you'll want to try and do. So the image obviously draws a lot of human eyes to it inside the news, inside the news results. So if you can get an image on the page, you'll want to try and put it between your H1 tag and your starting body text. You want to get that image inside of there. Larger images are better than smaller images, and Google News tends to prefer 4:3 formatted images as well. So, 400 by 300s or 800 by 600 images tend to work well. Larger you can get, again, the better. Those would be the big tips that you have. Make sure you keep in mind that Google News looks at news rank more than page rank. So mentions by other media sites will help you to rank better. And it's not just links, it's mentions of your name as well. So you want to get other news sites to pick you up. You want to have them mention you. You want to have them say as reported by, according to, and source, etc. All of those things will help you as well. One caveat that Google News still has a problem with is that the canonical tag, which has had a fairly wide adoption throughout the internet recently, the canonical tag does not work for Google News. They completely ignore the tag. They will be coming up with their own version of it sometime, but as of yet, they completely ignore it. So if you're relying on that canonical tag heavily, such as we are at Tribune, know that it does not work for news. I'm Brent Payne, SEO Director at Tribune, and thank you.
Thank you.